Thanks for joining me on Saturday, the 5th of April 2025. After the game at Portman Road finished Ipswich 1, Wolves 2. Surely that's it now. We're safe. It's got to be. Only a handful of games left and 12 points clear of the bottom three. But at one point, when Ipswich were 1 up, it was 1 up for a long time. It looked like it might be going down to an interesting finish of the season, because if we'd have lost that today, instead of being 9 points ahead, which we were at the start of the game, it would have been down to 6. And the next game is against Tottenham, and they're just above us. But Tottenham are one of them teams where they're beatable, but on the day they could also thrash you. But thankfully it didn't end that way, because we came back and obviously we won 2-1. That's now the fourth game of Matheus Cunha's suspension, and he won't get back in the team. But seriously, when Matheus Cunha got that 4-match ban, people were saying, well, where the goal's going to come from? Somebody's going to have to step up. But thankfully for us, that Jurgen Strand Larsen has stepped up, and I think he scored in all those 4 games, because he got 2 against Southampton, and he got 1 midweek, and he got another one today, and Sarabia, he got the other one. But we've got momentum behind us because of those games that Cunha has been suspended. We've done fairly well, and we've got momentum behind us going into the Spurs game. Spurs next game is against Southampton. You no way expect them to lose that. But if they did, because they're 2 points ahead of us, if Spurs did somehow manage to lose that game and we beat them, in theory we could overtake them. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. But having said that, we should be safe. I reiterate. So what will we do now? Will we start giving some of the fringe players some games, some minutes on the pitch, and start looking at next season? Or is he just going to play the strongest team as possible and try to finish with the maximum number of points? Normally you'd say that was the thing to do, but yeah. But the first goal, Ipswich's goal, was controversial because the player jumped up on Ait-Nouri. He put his both hands on Ait-Nouri's shoulder, and he seemed to use him as like a springboard, and his header across the goal went to a surprisingly unmarked Liam Delap, who also scored the goal against us at Molineux, because that was one of Pereira's early games. I went to that because I was in the Stan Cullis Upper that day, and it was a sickening injury time winner for them. And I don't know what was said after the game, but that was the game where Ait-Nouri got a red card after the final whistle, and Cunha got a red card in the tunnel and a 2-match ban for ripping the specs off the Ipswich guy's head. And so today there was no love lost between the two teams at the end, and you could almost see some of the Wolves players maybe reminding some of the Ipswich people of the words what they might have uttered that day. But I'm just speculating. There was a bit of bad blood there that day, and there seemed to be maybe a little bit of afters today. But it was a sweet win, and after we let in that first goal, which I'm surprised that VAR, after they looked at it, they allowed it because he used him as a springboard. But this is VAR and this is Wolves. But they came at us out the traps, as you would expect them to do, because this really was their golden opportunity, a home game against the team above us, and they'd beaten us in the previous game. So this will be a real kick in the guts for them. This has likely sealed their fate for them to be the third of the 3 teams that were promoted, Southampton, Leicester and Ipswich, to all go straight back down, because we got 32 points. And I remember one season when we went down, it was Leeds, Leicester and Southampton. All three teams were relegated on 30 points and we got 32. They usually say 30 is enough, but we got 32 with power to add. Hopefully we can get to 40 plus. But after their goal, after 15 minutes, Totti, a cross came to him right in front of goal. I wouldn't necessarily say it was a bad miss, but the defender blocked it on the line. It was fine margins, could easily have been an equaliser. But we went in half-time 1-0 down. We were the better side. I'd say after their whirlwind start at the traps, we weathered the storm and we were passing the ball around nicely and we looked a good team. In the second half, Semedo had a shot, ricocheted, just wide of Ait-Nouri, could have fell to him easily. João Gomez, who was my man of the match, he had a brilliant run, a 25-yard angle shot, smacked against the post and came out. And then after 64 minutes, Sarabia and Rodrigo Gomez came on for the Doc and Bellegarde. Munetsi had a shot after 66 minutes. Ait-Nouri had a tame shot, it was easily saved by Casey Palmer to 70 minutes. But Sarabia, who was one of the subs, came on, and Larson, a long ball came up to him. He shielded the ball. He brought the ball down well, shielded it, passed it back to the edge of the area to Sarabia, who controlled it nicely and hit a left foot shot into the corner of the goal where Palmer couldn't quite reach it. It was a good goal. I was there when he got his first goal of the season when it was the home game against Southampton. The first goal when we won 2-0 when Gary O'Neill is in charge. And so that's now his second goal. He's one that takes a lot of flack from the fans and says that he ought to be sent off down the road, and he likely will be because he's, I don't know what the terms of Cunha or João Gomez's contract are, but he's thought to be the highest paid player on Wolves' books. But it was nice for him to get the equaliser. It'd be nice for him as a parting gift, if it is to be that, to get a few more before he goes on his travels. 83 minutes, Larson got the goal after, again, some good work by Sarabia. That's 4 goals in 3 games. He's done well. He's the player that stood up in Cunha's absence. And but I'd say that Cunha is likely to come in for Munetsi because Cunha is the one whose goals have kept us alive, our head above water this season. So if there is to be any changes, I would suggest that it will be Cunha in for Munetsi. And late on, Santiago Bueno came on for Ait-Nouri, but we dominated the possession. We had 22 shots away from home. They had 6. We had 56.3% possession. They had 43.7%. And as I said earlier, my man of the match was João Gomez. But surely we are safe now. 12 points clear of the bottom 3 with not many games left. And Tottenham Hotspur next. So what do you think? Play the strongest squad as possible or start experimenting, looking at players for next season, the fringe players? But that's a handsome win. We needed it, and up the Wolves.